what you teach. ASL. Um, Now, Corey, are you a virtual instructor or virtual program as well?
I'm at the elementary level.
Okay. Not virtual, though?
Yeah, not virtual.
No, that's fine. Okay. ASL, American Sign Language? Laura, is that what you're teaching?
Yes. American Sign Language.
Oh, there's going to be some cool things I think you're going to be able to do with Wixie, especially capturing their progress.
Yes.
All right. Wide range. Yes, this is fantastic. You guys are going to keep me on my toes because I'm going to do my best to include samples and acting as well. Fantastic. All right. And Amy, just know that as a district person, you have access to drop templates into the district folder. Mine says Tech for Learning, yours is Anna Rendell. Obviously, oh, is she staying? Where's she going? Well, that was Corey. But back to the for the county, Amy. When placed in the district folder, any template that's there can be accessed by everyone in the county. So you can create resources and make them available in Wixie that everyone, where do I get that file or what? No, it just open up your Wixie and go to it. It's there. And if that's something you want to talk about on your own, for me to walk you through it, I'll be happy to meet with you. All right, but we are going to get started. My name's Scott Loomis. This session is being recorded. Debbie Ray is playing Robin to my Batman. She's back for the day. And e-coaches, she said she can't get enough. She can't leave. So she's here, and just know that this session is meant to be informal. So jump in with questions, turn your mic on and ask them at the end, or of course chat up in the chat box. Debbie's going to be monitoring that as well. So don't hesitate to do that. Wixie is a cloud-based resource. You can access your account, or your students can as well, from any device that connects to the internet. Although you can access it from your cell phone, you wouldn't be doing a lot of painting or drawing or constructing, but using things like the audio recording and the video recording tools can be quite powerful with a program like this. And some of you where your kids are doing work or doing projects, being able to grab the video off a device like this can be unique. So, or can be effective in its use. So any device that connects. For those of you who only had a couple brand new to Wixie, you should know that you got to use a current browser, meaning you're going to want to use Chrome or Edge or Safari, no Internet Explorer. So if you get into an account and it's not working right, be sure to basically move to a browser. Be sure your browser's updated. But Internet Explorer is no longer being supported, so we don't use it because it's insecure. Wixie saves automatically every 15 or 20 seconds. There's no save button. So if you're old school like me, just know that's how Wixie works. In addition to saving every 15 or 20 seconds, all of your students' work will automatically be made available for you to see. There is no Dropbox. So as their projects are updated as far as saved, you see that updated status, and you can from your Wixie account as well. So some of the virtual opportunities here can be pretty strong. In addition to them saving work for you to see, you can assign templates for your kids to see when they log in. And you can assign templates to the whole class, to a small group, or to individuals. So if you want to do templates specific for a group, if you want to make templates available for the class, when they log in, they see it, they can open it, and then they get a copy of it. They don't mess up your assignment template. And then when they're done, they just log out, which you can do from the upper right-hand corner under your profile pic. So in short, Wixie is extremely efficient because kids can get in and get working right away, and they can get out when they're done. They just leave. They don't have to, click here, and press save. So really efficient in how it's used. This is Wixie. I'm going to come back and talk about its productivity components in a moment, focusing some on the tools that I think are more effective with a lean or a focus on the virtual environment. This is the home page, and your home page looks very similar to what the students see. They simply just don't have as many options over here on the left-hand side, nor can they see other students' work like you can. The home page has your projects, which I've organized with folders. You can go to New and do folders. And you can actually move things by clicking the ellipsis, the dots. You can move projects into specific folders as well. So you can get organized with your work. Your students can actually do this as well. I could see middle and high school kids organizing with ease, but I think telling first graders or second graders to organize their work is just a waste of time. I mean, the Wixie projects are not organized alphabetically. They're organized in the most recently accessed file. So this one I accessed today, just a couple minutes ago, where this one hasn't been open since 2019. So my account being a teacher one, and I got 22 more, it looks like. My account being a teacher one isn't 1 year after another. It's just a continuous use where kids work portfolios in their previous year, meaning that a 6th grade student, instead of having these folders up here, may actually have a folder that says grade 5, grade 4, grade 3, grade 2. So their work will save year after year. And if a student tries to access one of those files, which they can't change it. They just get a copy in this year's work. But that previous one is pristine. It's recorded. So a STEM teacher, talk about year after year, or STEM portfolio, you can easily collect work here in Wixie and have it saved over time if you wanted to. That would not be, not be a difficult thing. And Deb, she's already chiming in with how awesome some of these things are. So if you're not using it, and as she said, you're all probably using Chromebook, so access is no problem. I am going to first go ahead, and although we're going to come back and talk about viewing students' work and using Wixie as far as managing the tools through a virtual environment, I am going to go ahead and open up a new project. You should know that when you click new, or students do, you can go straight to an organizer if you want. So whether you tell students which one to open or they get to choose between some or 3 or 4 or whatever, they can do that. You can also do book templates, which are a little different. I mean, when you're using a book template in Wixie, if I do, like I did the Australian Outback earlier, it's a, here's your storyboard, tools across the top, paint tools here on the right. As you work on it, or as you finish a book template, or when you're ready to publish it or show it, the nice thing about a book template is it turns pages. So anything that's sequential, step by step, even math, how to convert an improper fraction to mixed number, you could go ahead and make it so that each page is the next step in the process. Science experiments, parts of a story, retelling stories, their own personal narrative. It kind of goes on and on. ALS, you can easily do a little library here of some of the different words or whatnot. If you're doing groups of words, whether it be food or feelings or whatnot, and I'm not going to pretend to know your curriculum, so please excuse me if I went too crazy there, but just different things you can do to highlight if you want to do it in a book layout. However, my favorite is doing a landscape. It maximizes the workspace because your monitors are usually, they're lined up horizontally. So again, as I mentioned, storyboard on the left, adding new pages down here, inserting text, images, both clip art, which we call stickers, and photos, adding videos, allowing the kids to work in collaborative teams. Now, I'm not going to go, well, you know what? I may go more extensive than I think or usually do, but just know your kids can work in collaborative teams with students from their section only, from this section only. So it's not like they can do it from a kid in another school or another grade level, unless they're in the section. It would have to be just the 25 or so kids in your section. And you can set up those teams, or they can invite someone to join them to work on the project. So a kid's doing something like interviews or whatnot, maybe they're researching famous people or planets or whatnot, they could work with the team member in their class. And this can be, done both synchronously and asynchronously. So a kid can log on and contribute even if the other one's not around today or whatnot. Paint tools are on the right. And I usually like drawing this nature scene. It's just my thing. But know that paint tools are paint tools. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter the program. They all kind of do the same. Our tools are by no means, these paint tools are no means better than anyone else's. They're just paint tools. I like the smudge tool. It's kind of like finger painting, but you can't mix colors because you get to do like a tree trunk. And Jeanette, if you're still here, sorry, some of this is a duplicate for you, but that makes me look like I have artistic skills, even though I don't. Spray can, you can spray images on the page like balloons, but I don't want balloons. So it's important to know that when you're dealing with anything, there are the basic palettes, and then there are more choices. And the arrows represent choices. That's what I tell the kids. So like, for instance, you can do paintbrush styles because there's 6 of them. For like 3D, doing lines of symmetry, the 3D one's pretty good, which you can see down here. So just know that there's always options. And when you go to the spray can, if I don't want these 3, I don't want feet, bare feet, or this, whatever it is, dots, I'm going to look for my more options, and there's a nature category right there. I want green leaves. So I'm just going to click and drag. And these are going to work. So there we go. And again, these aren't clip art. I can't move these. I'm painting with it. Okay. So although the paint tools are wonderful and kids will focus and be quiet and on task, just drawing things, that's really not your content. That's not your lesson objectives unless you're the art teacher. So to that end, I really encourage the use of our image library. there are well over 10,000, I mentioned clip art, are stickers, and there's over 30,000 copyright-free photos from Pix for Learning. This is a website, actually. When I was teaching middle school, and you don't have to have Wixie to use it. You can just go to it. I always told kids they can get a picture from wherever they wanted as long as that was Pix for Learning, because I knew they were copyright-free and we were having issues. So if I go into stickers, I see the categories. Pretty much every instructional image you might use. Now, it's more of a K-8 focus. We didn't get really specific with science or whatnot with some of the higher things. But most of what you're going to need is here. And you can, of course, bring in from other locations. Book retell, instruments. I mean, we see the science, the STEM, the map icons. Those are all here. If you can spell, you can easily do searches. And I almost encourage that because your results give not only the stickers, which is this first 2 and change, but then it starts bringing in the photos as well from Pix for Learning. So easily get your images down. So the direction of the comment I made regarding art teachers and painting is I would rather the kids go find images and use those than spend time drawing them from scratch. If they finish early and they use it as an engagement or whatever, motivation, let them go back and enhance all they want. But I want them to get their lesson knowledge down, whether they're typing or recording or videoing something with basic illustrations, and then going back and enhancing if they move on from there. Things you should know, and this is going to work for all levels. When you have a sticker, you can of course resize and rotate and stuff like that. But check out this little yellow box. It's old school megaphone icon that kind of cheerleaders might use. And when you click on it, it'll read what it says. So this is great. I know we got media folks. If you're doing fluency or literacy and want them, to be able to listen to things or see it, they can. If they're doing like a vowel sort and don't know what it is that a meat or steak? Because there's just they click on it and it tells them what it is so they can hear that sound. But check this out, especially middle school and high school folks. I can see just about everybody who said it. If you don't select the sticker, the edit menu will be unique to just whole page options. But if you select the sticker, get those handles around it, come back, you'll see that edit alt text is down here. And what's wonderful about edit alt text is you can change what this says. And you can go like 400, 300, 400 characters out. Meaning you could have a page with multiple images on it, photos and or stickers. You change what it says and make sentences. If this is a biome, if this is a cycle, if it's anything at all, you click on each one and you listen to it and it'll read. So again, a little more interactive kiosk mentality where you can click on it. So I am a deer, I am nocturnal, I am a herbivore, whatever information you want. You can kind of do some basic information here and make that kiosk-esque, activity. And this can be nice to kind of basically, it's a twist on trying to engage the kids in some cases, and it's something that doesn't have to be it doesn't need to be used just into unit assessment, but can be used in simple 10 or 15-minute activities. And that's where Wixie strength is. And I know in the virtual environment you kind of get that, but with Wixie's use, its strength is to differentiate by product, which is why I said you get that with the virtual environment, because that's what you do. If I'm using technology here, I need to use it efficiently. And if the guide says use the resource sheet for 15 or 20 minutes, that means your work in Wixie should be 15 or 20 minutes. And a lot of this doesn't require grandiose use, but it can be more powerful and dynamic when it comes to them applying their knowledge and skills and retaining it. So I love things like that as well. Oh yeah, Miss Slater, go ahead. And you raised your hand. Fancy. Oh yeah, how'd you do that again? I'm so sorry. I started going. So I've selected the object again. If you unselected the choices, you can see they change all the time. So our menus are specific to what you're doing. Under the edit menu, it's edit alt text. And when you click edit alt text, you get to type in this edit alt text box. Yeah, no worries. I'm glad you said hello one more time because I encouraged it. Wixie's text objects are pretty cool. Obviously, you can enter a text object. Hello. I am a deer. When you resize the text box, it resizes the font to fill the space. So things like trifolds and brochures, super easy. Newsletters, because if there's 75 words or there's 200 words, it'll always make or fill the space they want. So people enjoy that for publishing. Also, what I love about it, and check it out, there's the megaphone icon again. Wixie will read text, which I think is a wonderful self-editing stage. If they are doing publishing products, they can type it all, basically close their eyes and click it and listen, duplicate words? Am I missing words? Wrong endings? Does that not make sense? So I love it for self-editing, but also it reads it.
Hello, I am a deer.
And highlights it. So
Hello, I am a deer.
now, if we're working with EL kids, if we're working with developing readers, you can actually go ahead, add a new page, type in sentences or paragraphs or whatnot, maybe put a picture in or two, and the kids can listen to pages. And you could easily do like 1 or 2 page story and then do a comprehension question on page 3 or summarize or whatnot. So having them listen and seeing the words highlighted can be a big thing, like I mentioned, especially for our English language learners as well. And I'm going to come back. Don't let me forget, Deb, and talk about the microphone in just a little bit, because that's where I am actually in the session. Regardless if you're doing virtual or traditional, I guess, learning or instruction, in my opinion, if you're not using this tool right here, you're not using Wixie effectively. Like, there's the beginner cute stuff, and then there's the meaningful stuff. And it always involves this old-time microphone icon, record a sound. Users can record 1 sound per page, and it can last up to 5 minutes in length. Now, that's 5 minutes for page 1, that's 5 minutes for page 2, so on and so forth. So the ability for them to explain information, and in many cases do it right off the top of their head, and to capture that knowledge is huge. Particularly in a virtual environment where you don't know, do they understand, because you don't see all those social cues. And I got to admit, I don't know how people did it, because I think all teachers, the social cues are so important that they don't exist virtually. So capture that knowledge, capture that explanation, capture things creative, interviewing or exploring, right? Or not exploring, interviews or newscasts or conversations or public service announcements where kids can start to get really creative. So let's say this is not a report on deer, although he can still be friendly. Oh, by the way, and it can make a call-out bubble out of it. So, boom, now I'm working a graphic novel. And if you really like graphic novels, you can actually print like comic book style and graphic novels, file and print. You can actually do like booklets and comic books where Wixie puts the multiple Wixie pages into a 4 per page or 6 per page layout. So easy peasy with the graphic novels I mentioned. If this was not a scene on, I don't know, maybe a story or something like that, if this was just a straight up nature scene, the kids could do a recording on spring or the biome or whatnot. So when you click the recording, if you've never used it before, you're going to get a Wixie, for instance, never used it on this device before, you're going to get a pop-up menu that says you need to allow the microphone to talk to this web page, this program. So after you allow it, and if you do it again on this device, you won't have to do it again. You click the record and you get 3 seconds to get ready. 3, 2, Hey everyone, this is a picture of the spring, and oh my goodness, people are happy in the spring. Animals are happy because there's so much more food to eat than in the cold winter. And the trees, they're happy because they're growing leaves and maybe flowers or whatnot. You can pause and resume all you want. We see this is great for, like, again, EL kids, because sometimes if they're doing like a newscast and they get tongue-tied and they were doing like a 60-second recording, they do the whole thing over again. So if they need to, they can resume, untie that tongue, and then continue. But I'm ready to, or pause and resume. So you can pause and resume up to 5 minutes. When you're done, you press stop. You guys got the gist of that. You can listen to it and try again, or listen and keep it. And even if you keep it, you can trash it and do it again. So again, that's 5 minutes for page 1. That's 5 minutes for page 2. We got some primary folks here. You could be in the middle of reading a story to the kids. They're all sitting on the carpet in front of you on the floor. No one's touching each other. It's a beautiful world. And you're kind of moving through the story, and you get to a spot where the character is about to make a major decision. You close the book, you look at the kids quizzically and say, what do you think she's going to do? You need to record your prediction in Wixie and then justify why you think that's going to happen using evidence from the first part of the story, however you would say that for first graders, for instance, and then draw a picture of that event. And why do I make them record before they draw a picture? Well, they only get 10 minutes. A lot of them will draw the whole time. And they will create no assessment. They will create assessment of no value whatsoever. So I make them record their prediction, then draw, because I can grade a blank page because it's really all the prediction I want. The drawing was just the extra. Retelling stories, beginning, middle, end. And then we start moving in like science processes. Water cycles, life cycles, all sorts of things like that. Food pyramids, you name it. Kids can draw illustrations and then add that explanation on top of, right? I also love it for things like like things like literacy. And Deb even alluded to that. You could type a page with 3 sentences and have them read it. Just record yourself reading it, first grader or EL student, and then do the exact same paragraph for 3 sentences in another month, new recording. And then maybe the month after that, and now you got 3 artifacts for an IEP or 504 showing growth. And so much of what we see with kids, like even our youngest kids and EL kids, is they make progress, but a baby step range. But if you pull Juan over the side and ask him to do the recording again, and then Juan, let's look at the one you did 2 months ago. It's an opportunity, more than likely, for celebration because of the significant progress. They just haven't noticed it. But over time, those baby steps, are quite significant. So I love it for things like artifacts when it comes to speech or fluency or whatnot. In addition, I'm a big fan for using it for math. Why would you use it for math? When you go up to the image library, and this is big for STEM too, and you go to camera, you can take pictures of things and then obviously comment on top of it. So what's the most dreaded question to math? To explain your mathematical thinking. How did you solve that problem? Because we all know there's a bunch of not so legal ways of getting an answer in math, or trustworthy ways or authentic ways. So boy, they figured out the answer was 7, but how did they get it? Usually the worksheets give like 2 lines at the bottom. You need to explain how you solve this problem in like 12 words or less. It's like, you gotta be kidding me. Let the kids take a picture and then just ramble on. And Timmy may talk for 50 seconds, Tommy may talk for 3 minutes, it doesn't matter. That child gets that option to explain all the knowledge they want. And that's what I love of off the top of your head recordings, because those kids that are more engaged and motivated or interested in that topic, they can really go crazy and share tons of information. So it's exciting in that capacity too. So I like it for that. Now on the flip side of the audio, you can actually add a video file instead. And that was up here at the top. I know I clicked it quick here. So when you click on video, you get this box. This is a 5-minute video, 1 per page. So if you do have that thing you've constructed, if I keep on this down, but engineering, you have a project, you have whatever, science projects, name it. And also ASL, I can easily see the kids now having conversations through recordings. And in fact, you could have them work in partners, or you, for instance, you assign like a 10-page template. And on page 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9, you ask a question. And on the blank pages in between, they respond with their own video. So options here all over the place. When it comes to them modeling things, get your speech therapist in your building if they're not using it, because you need to record their lips moving with the sounds or whatever to see. But, again, I love the idea of kids holding something up, even art, holding up an art project and talked about, what style or artist they emulated, what they liked or didn't like about it. Here, I built this thing, check it out. I had to have these components, which are called this. I had this and this. So even rich opportunity vocabulary, or even dress up. Some people have like book character day, whatever you call Halloween, if you want to give it a different name. So kids, if they've dressed up as someone, can pretend to be that person. Because you'll find, I'm not a big PowerPoint fan, because I think a lot of people don't do presentations with their kids. And I think bulleted lists are useless. And research says, no one remembers anything from just a bulleted list, or the masses don't. So they have to apply that knowledge creatively. And things like pretending to be, or interviews, as I mentioned before, can be pretty huge. So how would that work? Let's do that interview, for instance. I'm going to do a planet, because that's, again, kind of my thing. So if we are talking about, planets, I got to admit, if I'm going to do an interview with a planet, so I'm going to come down to space, because I know there's a space folder there with the shuttle. The solar system's great. They're actually photographs. If we're talking to Mars, or I want to talk to Mars, there's Mars. Image. I'm just going to do a search for a boy. Mars is not looking too lively. Not big enough. Sorry, type A. So how do I bring Mars to life? Although I could search for an eye or a mouth, I happen to also know that under my favorite folder, cartoon, zap, body faces are here. So you can bring anything from an instrument to a scientific tool to whatnot alive. Mars is going to have a very masculine eye. There's this adapt tool, which is just a quick copy paste. Boom. Same size. Again, type A in me likes that. And now back to the folder. Mars does not have lips, but maybe a mustache. Let me think about that. So now I have my mouth, and I'm ready to ask the question. Hey, Mr. Mars, my name's Scott. Do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions? No, I don't mind. What do you want to know? Now, what's wonderful, and then stop the recording, is I can see how it's kind of ignore page 1. See how it's kind of got that blue box around it? From the edit menu, I can just duplicate it. And on page 2, I would trash the recording from page 1, because it got duplicated as well. And maybe I customize the page a little bit. Maybe I bring in a picture of the sun because I'm talking about distance of the sun or order of the planets. But basically, you, the teacher, have more than likely given the questions to ask the object or the person. And it's and Sarah, just 1 second, I can look at that. So the kids are researching based on the standard questions you've indicated. Like we know when we studied Marylanders, early Marylanders in 4th grade, that they had things about colonial times. So you can basically identify the questions they need to research answers for, and then each page would be specific to different indicators as that summative assessment, right? Whoa. Now, when it comes to Wixie work, if you were to copy the URL, you can share that with anybody, and they don't need Wixie to see it. It would just be a link to like an HTML5 project, like a video player, or a project player where you click each page and move it like the book if you want to do the book. So your students could easily post their projects in something for you to see the work without needing to go into Wixie. There is a way to see all student work in Wixie as well. And through the virtual environment, I'm going to suggest that you do everything in Wixie, assign and access work, because I'm going to show you something that's really powerful, again, virtually. So just know, and I don't know, if that answered your question or not, but if you want to share with a teacher in another building, you can copy the URL and send it. If your kids draw a picture of a birthday cake and sing happy birthday, grandma, they can send it to grandma in an email, and grandma doesn't open the Wixie account. She just gets to listen to it and watch it. And she probably cries a little bit. It's a beautiful moment. So encourage your kids to use Wixie outside the classroom. It's no big deal, right? So again, there you go. And Debbie's jumping into. I love things like interviews. I love when they pretend to be someone. I saw an interview with a kid who interviewed the $20 bill because he was interviewing Andrew Jackson. So Andrew Jackson, would just show up on the $20 bill. He didn't actually find a photo of him or anything. So the kids can be super creative. And again, I love public service announcements. I love step-by-step process explanation. You can have a boy or two guys here, with call-out bubbles or recordings. Dude, do you have any clue how to convert an improper fraction to a mixed number? Yeah, I know. Let me show you. And now they're going to do like a little video step-by-step of it, or audio recording. They're making a video. So, and I keep looking over because I got split monitors here, which is why I'm doing that. But just know that the kids can be extremely creative, mostly unit or summative assessments in what they know and understand. And that's where you get rich, I talked about just that retention of knowledge. So one of my all-time favorites, I know it's Debbie's too. I've been showing this for a while because it's just so brilliant. A 2nd grader did it. So here we are in Pennsylvania. They study dinosaurs in grade 2. And the tech teacher in this building admitted they'd been doing dinosaur PowerPoints for a decade. And sometimes they didn't present. And again, if a kid can take 5 words and talk about it for 50 seconds, I think it's brilliant. But so many teachers don't present because time or whatnot. And I also think there's a lot of playing in PowerPoint, sound effects, movements, things like that. So I said, well, you got all the steps. You've gathered research from the librarian, the classroom teachers organizing, you're helping with the technology. Why not do interviews? So Jocelyn is one ridiculously smart cookie. And I can show you where this is as well. And I could easily see a high school physics teacher sharing this with kids and saying, listen, a 2nd grader did this. And I know it's dinosaurs, but we're going to interview, we're going to talk about different processes, different Newton laws, different whatever. And you're going to interview the elements or whatever, or you're going to pretend to be, or you're going to be a newscaster or whatnot. So I want to show this because, again, ridiculously awesome.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline, and I am interviewing a dinosaur. So, dinosaur, what is your name and what does it mean? My name is Colophysis, and it means hollow form. So, Colophysis, how big are you? I am exactly 50 pounds, 8 feet tall, and 10 feet long.
Again, few words type.
Wow, that's small. But wait, Colossuses, if you're that small, how do you defend yourself? Well, I'm very fast, so I could run away, and I have very sharp teeth and claws. Oh, well, that makes sense.
So she's bantering. Again, reflection of knowledge.
So, Colossuses, how exactly did you move? Well, I run fast on 2 legs. Okay, well, if you're that small, what do you eat? I am a carnivore, and I eat meat and reptiles. Wow, that's crazy.
Vegetarian at heart.
Wait, Colossus, what time period did you live in? Late Triassic.
And this is the last slide coming up.
Any other information? Well, I lived and hunted and packed and was one of the earliest known dinosaurs. Cool, is that it? That's all I can remember, 'cause I lived 1,000 and some years ago. Okay, thanks, Colossus. You're welcome, Jacqueline. Bye. Bye.
So that catch-all question at the end. But again, you can clearly see the teacher gave the question to ask, and the kids asked the question and then responded. Now, this was done by her. Most kids like to, especially younger kids or the goofy middle school kids, they want to be the asker, or they all want to be the answer. They want to use that voice maybe, where, the kids get to do both. So many kids will work independently. But how would this play out as a team project? Well, if you create, let's say, for instance, I'm just opening up a new file. I can add a team member. So I click the team tool. And again, I can invite anyone in my section as a student. All I got to do is slide it from no to yes. And Elsa will now see this file in her My Projects. This isn't an assignment that shows up top. This is a file that shows up in her My Projects. So only one of us has to open and share, not both and share, So one opens and shares with their partner. And again, this can be done synchronously or asynchronously, which is nice because, again, some kids don't make it, something happens, whatever, they're doing that. Can you track who did what? You can't. This isn't a Word doc. Between the images and the recordings and the drawings, photos, you name it, the file components, even little components, can be very huge in size, I guess the best way to say it. I mean, megabyte recording or whatnot. And it's always slowed Wixie down so much when we've tried to establish and track changes. So just know you can't. So you might built in who did what or reflection, but Q&A, you're doing the Q pages, I'm doing we storyboard, not off the top there. We're storyboarding, not necessarily writing a script, but we're doing a storyboard. And we figure out, I'm going to do the questions, you're going to do the answers, and we can reorganize and peer edit when one of us is done, maybe do a title page or whatnot. All right, so here it is, this time to participate. As I like to say, this is the Are You Still There session of the presentation, or portion of the presentation. Can or have you already thought of an idea in which your students would add an audio or video recording to their project? If I suggested it, you can go ahead and maybe twist it a little bit. I said interview dinosaurs, but interview who? So I don't need a lesson plan. I just need an idea of a project. I could see kids interview dinosaurs. That's it. I interview dinosaurs. I can see kids do this, explain their mathematical thinking. So can you identify a project idea in which the kids use an audio or import an audio or video component? Snog creation. I love it. No, I know what you mean. And Ms. Slater, you're right. That's why I'm not a big fan of PowerPoint presentations, because the nervousness of presenting in front, you're willing to forgive or whatnot. These recordings can be much more critical and defined because it is that contained environment. And Tatiana not only explained it, those magic school bus books. I got a magic Corvette here, baby, and we're going through the system. I love it. Yep, formal presentation. Yep. And again, I think the video, Laura, for you was just when you said that, I knew that was your tool right there. Public service announcements. Amy, I love them. Why not? Why not? Yep. Can they import a link? Yes, they can actually. They can even embed a link, meaning that if I bring in an image, for example, animal, I should just grab something, but here's the badger. When you select the object, you can see that there is a URL link to here. You can also type in words. Hello. Oops. Highlight the word, and then at the bottom of this menu, there's a link to. Or you can just copy and paste the word. But yes, you will have to show the project so it goes into like a presentation mode in order for those links to be active. If you were to send the project URL to someone, the links would be available automatically because they're viewing it, they're showing it. So you can totally add links to different information. If I want to do like a University of Wisconsin, direction there, I can. Do the videos auto play? I think that's a choice actually when you add it. Oh wait, 3-second countdown. Hello, my name is Scott. Oh, I got to record first. I guess I just did that. Add video, autoplay. Yeah, autoplay is an option right there. Yeah, but I needed one on there to convert that. All right, now is everyone given an idea? There's like 10 people here. There we go. And Bonnie, I love it when kids pretend to be the animals, even little kids like first graders. Hi, my name's Steve. I'm a pig. All right, Steve, tell me about yourself. Yep. Miss Slater, yeah, did you see that autoplay here? Oh, with the links? I think the link is going to be a click only. Yeah, I think it's a click only for that. I'm sorry. The videos, you can do autoplay or click to play. Yep. Yes, and again, yeah, think, and again, when you look at retention, so much of it is through the kids' engagement in the project. I got to delete that. I can't look at it. So being creative, especially with our middle school kids, when they get choice, listen, you need to talk about this person. You can pretend to be them. You can interview them. You can, do something else. Let them be creative. Let them be almost a little goofy, as long as you establish those expectations as far as what content you need to see. And in many cases, I would structure the lesson by giving them the questions they need to ask or the topics they need to cover in detail, even possibly rubrics and assessments as well, which there's a rubric maker in Wixie. So those are all pretty big. A couple things to wrap up before I want to get to more of the virtual management components. First, you need to also get in the mentality of assigning completely blank pages to students. Like here is a 3-page blank project, and you're going to do something on science or math, or you're going to do beginning, middle, and end in literature, because typically you might type the directions on the top of the page. Draw a picture at the beginning, an event from the beginning of the book, and add an audio recording explaining what happened. And in my opinion, you're taking up their workspace. And by the way, I didn't mention it before, but when you're working with a text object, remember I showed you how you can read it. It'll read what it says. But check out, there's a microphone here as well. So when you click it, you can also do text to speech now, or speech to text. You had text to speech because it read the text. Now, hello, my name is Scott. Today is a cloudy, dreary, cold day here in Maryland. I wish spring would happen already. Should have paused, and you can say it says jury instead of blurry or cold or whatever. I said dreary. So speak clearly and whatnot. But what's wonderful is you can get a lot of the text down and the kids jump right into the self-editing stage, punctuation, things like that. So I'm not a big fan of typing, especially for the younger kids. Even the older kids, I think eventually it slows them down as far as they don't share everything they know. That's why I love audio videos, but just know typing there's there. So back to blank pages. In my opinion, when you add directions to the top of the page, you take up part of their workspace. So check this out. Do you guys see this clipboard icon here? I appreciate those of you nodding your head if you're on video in particular. Yes, I see it. When you click on the clipboard, it's instructions. Thumbs up. Thank you. This is where you can type your instructions, including hyperlinks. So if you want the kids to toggle between a page where they're gathering information and back to Wixie to record that, totally can do that. You can even make page 1 a graphic organizer where they put their information and then do something with it later. So in addition to your directions, this is a 5-minute teacher recording down here. Student recording, your recording. So you can clarify instructions. My wife is a reading specialist in Baltimore County, and she was working with a 5th grade class, and the kids were having a terrible time following directions. So instead, the teacher and her made lengthy recordings of exactly what to do on this page. And the kids, you just want to roll your eyes and wonder, but the kids are like, this is amazing. When you click on this, it tells you exactly what to do. And just like, okay, I'm going to pull the hair out of my head here because that's what I do before the lesson and you don't listen to it. So now you think it's amazing. So each page gets its own instruction, own recording, although you can duplicate. The most important thing to do when you're using instructions, though, is to open 2 instructions. Because if not, when the kids open up, all they see is this. And they're going to wait patiently and for your guidance instruction. No, they're going to freak out. What's that? I don't see it. It's just blank pages. So if you open 2 instructions, this is what shows up over here on the left. So they automatically see them. And again, you can read the directions. You can throw some extra clarification in. It doesn't matter. So if you want to structure an interview because your kid's in 5th grade or 6th grade or whatever, they can really use it, or 10th grade, you can put the questions to ask here. If you do that graphic organizer, when they're done, they can move the graphic organizer to the back like your references, type deal, your notes. So opportunity to do research in here, to partition it, to then do projects on top. And you can embed a lot of that, including links and whatnot, within the directions. I think this is huge in the virtual environment because it allows for a lot of self-pacing. You know, instead of everyone doing this and waiting until everyone's done to move on, and let's all do this together, move on. They're moving through a project on their own pace with directions, you know, kind of clear as day, so to speak, over here on the right. And I think that can have great potential as well. And because me and my colleague from another school or my own building or whatever are buddies, I'm going to send them that via email so they get a copy too, and they can use it as is or customize the copy, you know, the version I send them, and make any changes they want to. Okay. So now that any questions, we're doing good. Oh, so sorry, I'm missing some comments here. Play.
Scott, there's a question about the microphone working for other languages.
Meaning, for the speech to text.
Right.
Oh yeah, I don't think
I've been looking at it, and settings you can change the language to different languages, but when I tried practicing in like English, would it translate to Spanish? It does not.
Yeah, I was gonna say it'll have a lot of red and green lines underneath, you know, for Spanish. Yeah, I don't think you're gonna be able to get lengthy passages in other languages. I think the other languages is where you're going to focus more on just the audio recording, for instance, and compared to the text. So a deal where you can do a lengthy audio recording with just a few Spanish words, for example, or whatever, German words. Yep. So I'm sorry, my text box wasn't scrolling down there, but I think it only works effective for English at this time. And I'm not sure how we'd be able to modify it as well. Sometimes if you change your computer's operating system, then Wixie's tool will align a little better. So that may be a thing to try, because we piggyback off of your operating system microphone. We don't have our own microphone or programming there. That's why you have to allow it to talk to Wixie. So if your computer is into Spanish, maybe it will work in Spanish better. I would consider that an option. So let me talk about assigning and manage assignments now. The first, how are we doing on time, by the way? This is till, okay, oh yeah, we're doing great, even though I went a little longer than I wanted. So when I look at an assignment I've created or use one of the existing templates, which we'll point to, while you're looking at it, you can just go to File and Assign. And this is one of 3 different places you can assign a template. If you teach multiple classes, what class do you want? That's over here in the pull-down menu. Do you want to go to all kids, or are you doing groups of kids? You choose. The date range is when they will receive the template in their Wixie account. If today is the date range and you press save, it happens instantaneous. It doesn't need like overnight to process. But typically, they might need to refresh their Wixie to see it. So they got to log out, log back on, or just do the refresh in the corner if that'll work. The end date is only there if they never open the template. So eventually, the template will disappear if they never open it. But otherwise, it's not like they're going to lose anything, because once they open your copy, they get, you know, they basically get their, once they open your template, excuse me, they get their own copy. So when it comes to students, if I was to assign this template, today's the first day. And because I'm logging out, it's like a refresh. I'm going to go into a student account. They see templates the very first thing. Now, here's where using Wixie is better than using one of the other, I think it was Lumio you mentioned. First, when the kids open the template, it's no longer an assignment because they get the copy of it. They can do all the work and whatnot. Now, this is a project that's due like by the end of the week. Kids can, from the file menu, mark as complete. So they can turn it in, essentially. And you, from your teacher account, will see who has turned it in. And this way, you can actually look at it like on Wednesday and provide feedback and maybe give it back to them to finish more before Friday's deadline. But this is basically a student saying, I am done with this. So we're talking, you know, intermediate, middle, and high school kids. When they get the mark is complete, they get a message, hey, you won't be able to do anything else if you turn this in. Yes or no? So I'm going to go ahead and press yes. So now that I can't do anything, I can only look at it as my student. So I'm going to log out as the student. Oh, I don't quite understand that question. Of course, speaking. I mean, if they speak in Mandarin, it's going to play in Mandarin. I'm like, opinion. I think you got to find out if it'll work or not when the computer is set to other ones. I just don't have experience doing it. Yeah, see there, Debbie's saying that too. All right, so now that the kids have done their work, if I go to assignments, this is the huge virtual component here. When I go to assignments, I can pick my class. You can see I like doing the same project samples, but this is the assignment that I just did. I'm going to go to the class. And oh, Jamie Loomis, she's turned it in. But these kids haven't even opened the file yet. We know that was a big problem there during the virtual instruction, and the stuff you may see is the kids are a little bit better now, but because we're better and the curriculum resources are better. But I can tell from this assignment section, none of these have even opened it yet. And it'll say started followed by the date in which it's been opened. So I'm doing a whole bunch of what the heck is going on with these kids. And you can do this while they're working on it in your class too. So, there they are. You've modeled it a little bit. You've gone over to assignments. You click on the assignment, which I should have named and everything. But I can go ahead and see under this one, student 20, why haven't you opened your assignment yet, or this or that? So know that you can do this. And when you see the check, it's complete. So how do you, or they've turned it in, how do you view students' work? You obviously are going to go to the Students tab in the upper left-hand corner. You're going to pull menu down, find your classes that you want, and find the students. I typically like this sample here from Nina. I love literature extensions. I'm not a big fan of a lot of typing and a lot of recording. I think that's like a double dip opportunity. But when it comes to literature, like literature creations or writings of their own, as well as poetry, I love it when they read poems because they can use voice inflections and whatnot. So here's one where the kids did an extension to a repetitive book that's called Things in the Most in the World. It's a superlative book, like Spilt Milk or Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs or something. I can hear the recording.
The tastiest thing in the world is every chocolate mixed together to make a 10,000-foot dessert. Yum, yum, yum.
If there was another page, I'd be able to move to it. I can leave a feedback in Wixie. Press the plus, leave a feedback. Now, if I started and I'm not getting into rubrics, if I had done a rubric, I can actually use the rubric components and get a percentage score that I could then put in a gradebook program. So, because you can take a rubric, an assessment, and attach it to a project the kids would see while they're working on it. And then when they're done, you can use it to then give them a grade by clicking the different fields. So just know that that is another component. If you're more interested in assessments, I'm going to put my email back up. You let me know if you want to talk assessments, and we can talk for just 10 minutes on making rubrics. I do a lot of these virtual one-on-ones, and you're able to, obviously ask specific questions, and we can handle that. Miss Young, we don't export to anything because there's like 22 different gradebook programs our customers use or something like that. So the teacher's actually going to have to take whatever percentage they see, in this case, 70%, and type 70 in the other program. All right. So I'm sorry. That's just kind of the reality. It sounded a little harsh now that I'm listening to myself. So now that I've looked at it also, this is the most important part of it right here is marking it as complete. If not, the kids can still make changes. And more importantly, they could mess it up at home, like destroy the file. So the last thing you want is something perfect for a 504 or an IEP or a parent conference, and you want to show it to mom and dad in 2 weeks. And when you go to open it up, it's just scribbled over and destroyed. You're like, uh-oh, foot in your mouth. So if you mark it as complete, kids can't change it. You leave a feedback. You could export if you want to. You can even open and edit it. If it's not marked as complete, you can make changes, little ones. But if you love this project so much you want to copy forever to like show next year's kids, even when this kid graduates or goes to middle school or whatnot, if you put it on Showcase, it'll now be part of your like show and tell, because when you go back to home, you have a Showcase. It'll be part of one of those files. There it is. Here we are down here. It'll be a file in your Showcase that should have indefinitely. So that's all there is with students. If you're looking for specific projects, so instead of going through them, again, the most recent shows up first, you could search for projects by project names or whatnot. I'm not getting into the standards as I suggest, but there is the My Assessments folder on how to make rubrics or use existing ones. And as always with Wixie, under your profile menu, there's a help menu. So I went to the icon in the upper right-hand corner. Thank you, Deb. I'm going to help. And I have step-by-steps, including assessments on how to make these different assessments. So there are all the built-in resources you may want here within Wixie. In fact, Wixie 101 and Lesson Ideas have a lot of built-in sessions. And Wixie 101 is probably my favorite, especially if you're kind of new to Wixie or you're trying to figure out some things, because these are like 1 and 2 minute overview videos here for some getting started. But when you get into teacher tools, how to combine pages in a project, adding instructions, sharing templates, or importing PDF worksheets, videos on all of those. This one's 1 minute and 46 seconds long. Integration, how to use it in 1st grade, 6th grade, how to use it with science or art. Just know that a lot of our stuff is K-8. Anne Arundel is one of the few districts that use it in high school. So definitely look to subject areas or kind of get an idea what they might say at other grades and piggyback off it. Excuse me. And then webinars. These are teachers that talked about using Wixie with phys ed or music or whatnot are here as well. And then some ideas at the different grade levels. We go up to 6, but curriculum areas can go a little higher as well. Here's a STEAM and STEM one, by the way. I know someone said that right away. So there are built-in resources under Wixie 101. However, when you're looking for curriculum templates, there's over 3,500 existing templates. We put them in both curriculum with an obvious like content objective involved, or more blank things like templates under math. Like we don't know if you're going to use this cube template to do an explorer cube or maybe an element from the periodic table or maybe, vowel sounds. I don't know, but, it's not clear. But when I go into like curriculum, sciences, earth sciences, earth and space, season, space, let's do earth. Okay. Animals and planets, cause and effect in the ecosystems. Living things can change the environment. So you got all these templates. You say, okay, I actually have never seen this one. So I open it up, and now I am just looking at it. Notice how I can't do it. I can't draw on it, but it looks like it's, oh, there we go. Each page, they want them to paint and draw because they have instructions here. All right, this isn't so bad. Do I like this exactly as it is? I can click assign and assign it. Do I want to make changes? Maybe delete a few pages, make it smaller. I press customize, and I get my own copy of the template. Can't mess up the master. And now I'm going to modify away. And from this one, I would go to File and assign my version. You can also do File and Assign from the ellipsis dots menu here. And I am using the grid view. There's also a list view. Your students have option to these two. Some of your kids may freak out. Mine doesn't look like yours. So just know the views are up here in the upper right-hand corner. Two things to show you, and you will be able to multitask if you want to. Debbie's put up the assign attendance sheet. I am going to log out and just go to Wixie.com. Now, although I taught in Baltimore County, I worked with Anne Arundel County enough to know that you guys have parents don't complain at all. They don't argue. They don't have concerns about student privacy. They're just idyllic down in Anne Arundel County. I taught middle school, so yes, I have some sarcasm. When I go to Wixie.com, check this out. There is a parents page. On this parents page, I'm glad you enjoyed that, Emily. There is a short video on Wixie. There's this little troubleshooting link for how to access Wixie at home. But here is our complete and total privacy and ad-free policy, right? We are approved by the Department of Defense for use in all the schools around the world and the bases. And we were vetted through the Pentagon. Our security and privacy policies are top notch. But, mom and dad are going to want to know. You can be a little preemptive, a little CYA, if you will. If I have a newsletter, my school has a newsletter, I do whatever, I may copy this link and just let parents know we're going to start or we're going to continue using the dynamic productivity tool called Wixie in this upcoming unit. If you're curious to learn more about this product, you'll find information at, here's the link. And, it's even if you might know the answer, I always tell parents, did you get a chance to look at that page? I sent you that link because, it has the information here, much more formal, much more legal. It ends the conversation quickly. And again, it is a little CYA as well. So I love the Wixie.com. You can't be in your account because Wixie.com is also your portal to your account as well as to the resources. But when I also go back to Wixie.com, and this is the last thing I'll show you, is that there is a teacher page. And under the teacher page, if it would open for me more quickly, there is this first section, using Wixie across the curriculum. So Wixie.com teacher, this is the most impressive link I can give you when it comes to using Wixie and how to see how other teachers are using Wixie. Explore Wixie projects across the curriculum, subject areas, science, math, you name it, grade levels over here up to 8th grade. So if I do 8th grade, you get all these, not only student samples and lesson plans, but then we retweet what other teachers have said they're doing with Wixie at this grade level or with this subject area. So these are a bunch of fantastic things, even testimonial articles. As I mentioned, here's the sciences. Great place to get ideas on what you're doing and ideas that you can just think about for 5 or 10 seconds and move on. And with that, I'm going to put my contact information up. I know you have a lot of great resources in your building, but I mentioned I am happy to meet with you virtually one-on-one, maybe with you and a colleague. It doesn't matter. I usually call them helpings because I want these webinars to be shorter conversations, to be 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes tops. And we can do more as each unit approaches or different ideas approach, how to do collaboration, how to make rubrics. All you got to do is email me and we can set something up that's convenient for both of us. And as I said, we'd be happy to kind of walk through that. So I am available if you are interested. And as we've already seen, it's that time I ran over just by a minute.
That's okay, Scott. And definitely take advantage. Scott is wonderful, and you would get a lot out of a session with him. I just want to remind everybody that we do have teachers that come in during the summer and throughout the year that create templates that are already included in the Tech Connections, which are found on ClassLink. But those are also found in that Anne Arundel County folder